люблю тебя.
Donald Trump has instructed two new executive orders. The first being the appointment of an acting administrator for the Federal Aviation Administration, that is the FAA, and the order to conduct an urgent review of the aviation safety. This came after the horrific mid-air collision of an American airline jet and a US Black Hawk helicopter close to one another over the Potomac River, adjacent to the Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport, DCA.
The damage done to aviation safety by the Biden administration's DEI and woke policies. What this presidential memorandum orders is for your Secretary of Transportation and FAA administrator, in this case acting FAA administrator, to basically ensure that we are actively undoing all of that damage, that we are assessing how much damage was done, and that we're ensuring that people hired within the FAA, in keeping with your memorandum of January 21st, are only the most outstanding, capable people for the jobs that they're being hired into.
In other words, competence.
Yes, sir. Elevating competence over everything else instead of the DEI policies that were pursued by the Biden administration.
I think everyone understands that. And Obama.
Yes.
Both of them.
It is estimated that all the 67 passengers of both planes involved in the incident sadly perished. As Trump stated during the White House press briefing, Rogelio would be replacing John F. Buck as the new acting administrator of the FAA. The National Business Aviation Association, NBAA, has mentioned that Rogelio will take this position until the Senate acts on Trump's choice of nominee for the official post. On the same day, President Trump issued a presidential memorandum that called for an immediate evaluation of aviation safety, emphasizing that the recent coalition tragically highlighted the necessity to prioritize safety and competence within the FAA. Meanwhile, 40 Mexican immigrants have been arrested on the Hidalgo Bridge and are being deported back to their home country. The Hidalgo Bridge, also known as the Hidalgo International Bridge, is a major border crossing located in the southern part of Texas. It connects the city of Hidalgo, Texas, with Reynosa, a city in the Mexican state of Tamaulipas. This bridge serves as a key point for both vehicle and pedestrian traffic between the United States and Mexico. On Friday, President Trump attributed the fatal plane crash near Washington, D.C. to the flight path of the Black Hawk helicopter. Earlier, without offering any evidence, he had suggested that diversity efforts were to blame for the crash. His recent remarks come well before the National Transportation Safety Board has completed its investigation.
A situation where you had a helicopter that had the ability to stop. I have helicopters. You can stop a helicopter very quickly. It had the ability to go up or down. It had the ability to turn. And the turn it made was not the correct turn, obviously. It did somewhat the opposite of what it was told. We don't know that that would have been the difference because the timing was so tight. It was so little. There was so little time to think. But what you did have is you had vision. The helicopter had vision of the plane, because you had vision of it all the way, perfect vision of it all the way from at Kennedy Center where the tape was taken. And for some reason, there weren't adjustments made. Again, you could have slowed down the helicopter substantially. You could have stopped the helicopter. You could have gone up. You could have gone down. You could have gone straight up, straight down. You could have turned. You could have done a million different maneuvers. For some reason, it just kept going and then made a slight turn at the very end, and by that time it was too late.
Trump, who had ordered a review of federal aviation hiring and safety practices, claimed on Thursday that it was common sense to link diversity programs to the tragedy, despite providing no clear connection between the two.
So all of this is going to be studied, but it just seems to me, from a couple of words that I like to use, the words common sense, some really bad things happened, and some things happened that shouldn't have happened.
President Trump even took to Truth Social to say the Black Hawk helicopter was flying too high by a lot. It was far above the 20-foot limit. That is not really too complicated to understand, is it? President Donald Trump announced that he would likely make a decision by Thursday, which was last night, regarding the imposition of 25% tariffs on Canadian oil imports, which is set to take effect on Saturday. And this is what he said, and I quote, "We may or may not go ahead with it. We will likely decide tonight on the oil." Trump told reporters at the White House, "It depends on the price. If the oil is priced fairly and if they treat us properly, though they don't, then we will see." And this is what he said.
Oil is going to have nothing to do with it as far as I'm concerned. Oil has nothing to do with it.
Tariffs on Canada and Mexico, 25%. That's coming on Saturday?
It's coming on the 1st,
Okay.
Saturday.
But no oil tariff, no oil tariffs.
No, I don't, well, I didn't say that. You said that. No.
Well, I don't want to misinterpret.
No, we may or may not. We're going to make that determination probably tonight on oil. Yeah, because they send us oil. We'll see. It depends on what the price is. If the oil is properly priced, if they treat us properly, which they don't. Look, Mexico and Canada have never been good to us on trade. They've treated us very unfairly on trade. And
Trump has repeatedly warned Mexico and Canada, two of the U.S. largest trading partners, that he will impose tariffs unless they stop the shipment of fentanyl and the flow of migrants across the U.S. borders. At the same time, he has expressed frustration over the trade deficits, despite both countries taking measures to enhance its security.
so we'll be announcing the tariffs on Canada and Mexico for a number of reasons. Number one is the people that have poured into our country so horribly and so much. Number two are the drugs, fentanyl, and everything else that have come into the country. And number three are the massive subsidies that we're giving to Canada and to Mexico in the form of deficits. And I'll be putting the tariff of 25% on Canada and separately 25% on Mexico. And we will really have to do that because we have very big deficits with those countries. Those tariffs may or may not rise with time.
Thank you for tuning in, and this is all I have for you guys. If today is your first time, please like my video, subscribe to my channel, and share my video, and I hope to see you in the next video. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching.